Hello, and we are back with the absolutely gorgeous Brandi Harvey and super intelligent. We are here. Thank you for joining us and allowing us to come here. It is so important that we emphasize ability and options. With this 2015 Women Leaders Project, I wanted to make sure I brought the best of the best in terms of achievement of our women. So we are going to hop right into it and how you achieve success.
This is some big shoes I gotta fill on this one.
I think you can. I think you got it.
Some big shoes.
So then now, you are the executive director of the Stephen Marjorie Harvey Foundation, correct?
Yes, yes. That's my day job.
That's huge.
That's my day job. They pay me something like pennies to $1 to do this work.
But it is for me an absolutely necessary work and one that has true impact, because so many people start nonprofits just to say it.
Who would do anything like that? I don't know. Okay.
You never know. No one. But no, you guys make true impact in the community. So how did you, because everyone feels as though, oh no, it'll just happen, success. Oh no, I'm just gonna graduate and just be this awesome, successful person. And it's like, but wait, no, there's some steps to this.
Right.
So how did you decide, or how did you get to the point where this is what everything I've been trained for, this is what I want to do? How was that deciding factor for you? How did you get here?
Well, it's interesting because when I was in college, I worked in nonprofit. I ran after school programs when I was in college. And so I ran a tutoring program called Project Excel. So I was a program coordinator. So that meant like, after I got off from school at Ohio State, I would go drop my car off, and then I would get the van, the church key. You know, it was run through a church, so I had to go sign the van out at the church, and then I would pick the kids up, my students up, on a route. So we went around the city. So by 3:30, 4 o'clock, I think we would be back at the church. We would have like snack, and then they would do homework, and we would, work on their homework with them. So I did that. I've always been in service though. So I've always volunteered my time from the moment I can remember, because my mother never allowed us to have like a free Saturday. Like, she would always say, I'm not running a hotel, so you can't lay around my house. So we had chores, and then we had to go serve the community. So a lot of involvement in my church, but my whole life has just been dedicated to service. And once I graduated, I always knew I wanted to go into education. And so I taught high school for a short stint, but I realized that wasn't the place for me, because I had too much mouth. I'm a rule breaker. I don't follow rules. Like, the bureaucracy of the classroom was way too much. And so I would want to cuss kids out, and I'm like, you really need somebody to lay hands on you, literally, lay hands on you. And I want to lay hands on you, but I can't lay hands on you. And so
I might not need to be here.
So this is probably not for me, but I was young, and I was 23 at the time. So that's really almost 10 years ago. So, but the work, I've always been in the service field, always been in nonprofits. That's where my heart is. That's where my passion is, to be able to make an impact on people in a positive way, but be able to inspire them, but empower them to lead better lives. And I think that's what we get to do at the Stephen Marjorie Harvey Foundation with our Steve Harvey Mentoring Program for Young Men, as well as our Girls Who Rule the World program. It was not like I just got plopped in as the executive director, though. That totally didn't happen. I really had to prove myself, to my father, to be in this position. I've worked every other area, right, of the foundation. So I've done every single job that it takes. Now that I have a team of people that do, it was me and one other person, the executive director.
No, I know you're not doing it right.
That's what I tell them. I'm I had that job, right? And I mean, no matter who you are or what happens, whatever path you choose, it really does come with this hard work and this sweat equity.
Yes.
Right? You gotta put the sweat equity in. It's a whole lot of sleepless nights. It's a whole lot of sending random emails at 3 when I get a thought. Yes. When we're doing a production, I'm like, did we make sure we have da 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 da? And this is my, so it's like, it's this total kind of encompassing like little sphere of like organized chaos that tends to happen, but it hasn't been an easy road, and a lot of it has come with one, trust in myself enough to know that I can be trusted by my father to do this job. But it really I had to trust myself
That
first.
confidence.
Absolutely, because it was not easy, because of course you're like, I'm scared, hell, I don't know what to do, I don't know if this is right, I've never done this before, but then nobody else know you ain't never done it before.
So keep it to yourself.
So you're trying to act like you like know everything, but you don't. So it's been like quite a journey.
So then, I know you said you went to the Ohio State.
I did.
How did you, because even though, because I went to college also, and I must say, I truly believe that education gives you options, and I would not trade my college experience for anything in the world. But sometimes when you get out of college is when a lot of the true learning comes. So you take that foundation that college built, and then now you build on that. So now, I know you said you lived a life of service. So what are some of the things that you did to acquire the knowledge that you needed to run an organization?
You know, a lot of it came from, you know, I interned at the Cleveland Foundation when I was in college, and interned at these different organizations. So I pulled on that experience. But then I also, you know, pulled on the fact that that I worked in events, right? Because I knew that part of what my job was going to be was producing events, because we have to make money. And so because in the company we have other productions that we do, including like the formerly Hoodie Awards, now Neighborhood Awards. So I did those, you know, managing all the tickets, right? And so everybody's like, oh, tickets, that's like this easy job, right? But you're like the glue, because if some folks don't have some tickets, they gunning for you.
Problem.
And then you're like the BFF of everybody, because you're like, you can make some tickets happen. So I pulled on that experience. I pulled on the fact that I was a teacher as far as programming and what young people want and what they desire for programming. I pulled on the fact that I listen to other people and their stories, and I don't just listen, I hear them with the intent of understanding them with compassion. And so that helps, you know, feed into what we do for our mothers and the mothers program. But also, you know, my mom was a single mother raising us, and what I knew she needed, you know, as we were growing up, and just listening to the women that are in my sphere of influence, and also listening to our children, but also being cognizant of what is happening in the world around me, to know what the day and time calls for, as far as what our charge is going to be. How are we going to equip our children, you know, from education to leadership, to, you know, holistic development. Like, how are we going to equip our kids to win? Because, you know, at first I kind of was like, well, this is just my dad's program. You know, but when I switched to my mindset that this was not just my dad's program, that this was my family's legacy, that this was the work that is going to stand long after my father is gone. You know, this impact is going to kind of, you know, have this domino effect and leave the masses with something more than jokes, leave them with something more than a talk show or a Family Feud or anything like that. We have an opportunity, but we also have a responsibility. Okay, you know, once I stopped looking at, you know, this is a job, you know, and that, well, this isn't mine, this is theirs, you know, this isn't really my program, this is their program, this is their. And I was like, you know, one day, you know, the Spirit just hit me and said, no, this is your program. You've been gifted with an opportunity to do everything that you can dream of, right? You have an opportunity to do that, and use it to the best of your ability, and don't be afraid. And so we've made some changes, and it's been like, I'm cool, because I'm like, what can anybody, and you came to the gala, so you already know, and you can imagine the pressure that I was under that night. You know, pressure. That my father is not showing up, right? My dad is not showing up, knowing that, you know, 2 hours, an hour and a half, you know, I think it was like 3:45, so we were, yeah, an hour 15 before the doors open, right? I'm like, oh, you're not coming.
What do you mean?
And so the amount of pressure that I felt that night, you know, to make this event happen, pressure really does. That's when you create diamonds, right?
Yeah.
And so I just was like, that night I said, it's not about the man, it's about the cause.
Yeah.
And I think that that's, you know, the beauty of what we get to do with my sister, being involved with the foundation, my younger brother being involved is, you know, we're taking that, you know, it's not just about Steve Harvey, and it's not a Steve Harvey event, that this is really about the cause of mentoring. This is about the life-changing work that we get to do. And if he doesn't show up, that's okay, because the show goes on. You know, because if he doesn't show up, we're not going to stop mentoring.
Very true.
We're not going to stop, you know, having programs. We're not going to stop doing mentoring camps. We're not going to stop implementing book clubs and STEM education, and we're not going to stop this. And so that was like the beautiful thing about that night. I was, you know, I was through the roof, like, you know, if somebody could get inside of my brain on that night and seeing just like how many pep talks I had to give myself just to be like, you can do this, you are equipped, everything that you have is already inside of you, you are enough, you are blessed, you are abundantly blessed, you are ready, God, you are a God walking this earth, like gods do not, you know, buckle under pressure. I'm like saying all these things as I'm like moving from the elevator into spaces, and I'm like, but I just want to cry. I was like, what am I gonna do? So yeah, but I think it's just, you know, we have a great opportunity with the work that we do, and with taking our children abroad. Last year we had an opportunity to take 4 of our girls to Costa Rica on a service and educational awareness and cultural awareness trip. This year we are sending 4 of our girls to Belize, and on the same type of cultural service, we're doing with Girls Going Global, which is an organization that a friend of mine started, and so we partner with her to be able to bring these trips to our girls and to get them to travel abroad and show them the possibilities, because I think
abroad too.
Absolutely, because that's our responsibility, is to show them who they can become. But we can't show them if we don't give them all the tools that they need to succeed.
Ready.
Yeah,
you need to be ready. So when it comes to you're on the battlefield, you just take your tools out of your knapsack, like, oh, don't worry, I was prepared for that. Nothing
can surprise you, you know. It's just like, even when I feel those moments of pressure, it's like, Brandi, you know how to think quickly on your feet. There's nothing that's going to slow you down. All the answers are already here, and if they're not inside of you, the person next to you got it. You just got to tap them for it, you know. So that's it. Yeah.
So then now, obstacles, and not just the one that you experienced last week.
This has been so many.
Yes. But obstacles in general, how or what are some of the ways in which you overcome obstacles? Because it is very easy to buckle, and many people do, not because they're not strong enough, but because it's difficult to see past it sometimes.
Yeah.
So how do you get over your obstacles or deal with obstacles?
How do I get over and deal with obstacles? You know, I am a spiritual being. You know, I am a spiritual being. I am not a religious being, but I am a spiritual being. And so for me, it requires stillness, and it requires quiet time. I've got to make time for myself, right? So that means quiet time to read, quiet time to meditate, quiet time, if that means I gotta go sit in the sauna to sweat it out. I got something that just, you know, I gotta go run, I gotta go hike, I gotta do something that's gonna get me back to my spirit place, right? Because often when we have these obstacles that come in and we don't know why or how or what's going on, it is ego. Most of it is ego. And so what I have to do is constantly remind myself that I am a God, right? I'm a God walking the earth. So how would a God handle pressure? How would a God respond to the criticism or naysayers or just shit that comes your way, you know what I'm saying? Like, how would they respond, right? And a God is whole and true and righteous and peaceful and honest and pure and loving and compassionate. And if I operate with those principles, then the pressure doesn't get to me. But it requires, prayer. It requires meditation. It requires quietness and stillness. Growing up, I grew up in the church, and I grew up in a Baptist church. So you already know, child.
Yes.
We can pray and sing.
Yes.
Okay. It all over the room. Yes. Run. We can do it all. And and I love the idea of church. I love the beauty of worship. And for me, what that means is it could mean me putting on, some gospel music, or it could mean me putting on just like some Dave Hollister, you know what I'm saying?
Oh, I love him.
It could just mean me, I might be in a Jodeci mood,
Yes.
I might be in, a Jamie Foxx mood or whatever, or I might be in a Anita, Jill, whatever, Lauren, Erica. I could be in any one of those moods, and so whatever I'm feeling, I put on something that's gonna bring me into that place. So like Erykah Badu and Lauryn Hill are like my go-tos. Like the Miseducation and Lauryn Hill is like still like the dopest album.
I want her to put out just one more for us.
You just need it. It's like so. And then Erykah Badu, are those women that I feel like a spirit connection to.
Yes.
You feel the spiritual connection.
Because they're so connected to their core.
Yeah.
That extreme awakening within themselves, within themselves. When you listen to them, it's like, wait, I feel you. Like, you can feel it, like it pierces your spirit.
Because you're speaking my love language. Like, thank you.
Yes. So then now, every day do something. What is it that you're doing every single day to continue to leave a legacy? Because I love the fact that when you said you shifted your mind from a job to a responsibility and an opportunity, it shifted things completely. So what is it that you're doing every day to continue to push this legacy?
What am I doing every day to push this legacy? I think the first thing that I'm doing is becoming a better me. And I think that is probably the most I can give, right? Is to be the best me that I can be. And so that means constantly educating myself, constantly making myself of what is going on in the world and the world around me. Because how can I be responsible if I'm oblivious to that which is taking place and transpiring in our communities, in our world, against our girls, against our boys, against our men, against our sisters, our girls, all of these things, right? So the first thing, what am I doing, is becoming a better Brandi. Just loving Brandi each and every day. Like I, fell in love with my hair. I think that was like the first step was like me falling in love with my hair, because for so long growing up, it was like, get your relaxer. Ooh, child, you need a relaxer. You got that hair, girl, that ain't, that you got that hair.
That African hair. It's not good.
And I was like, so of course you hear that.
Yeah.
And this is your crown.
And it makes you hate the person you are.
Because this is the crown. This is the thing that is covering your
greatest asset.
Your chakra. Like, this is chakra cover. Like, this is antennas. This is like my antennas, and I done relax my antennas. I done cut down my antennas.
That's why I went natural. I said I want to appreciate who I am at my core.
Yeah.
No additives, no additions, just me.
Yeah.
Step one.
Yeah, and that's a huge step, especially for us as Black women, because nowhere are we validated, nowhere are we uplifted, nowhere are we told that we are the best and the brightest and the most beautiful in our skin and our hair and our shapes and our attitude, our flair. We are told that is like so negative and bad, and I really was like, I started to embrace the fact that, I got a big mouth and I got something to say, but when I open my mouth, it's with intention. It's with intention. One of the things that I learned, in of helping me leave a legacy is, you know, in the Bible, right, it says that in the beginning was the Word, right, and the Word was good, and the Word was God, and the Word was with God. And so you hear that, and you're growing up in the church, and in the beginning was the Word, right,
and the Word was God,
and you don't understand the power of what that is, because we would not even be here if it had not been for the Word. We would not be able to walk and see the creation if it was not for the Word, right? So what I've learned, and a part of my legacy, is understanding how powerful my words are. That my words shape my reality, that everything I've ever said has manifested itself. Everything I've ever said has come into fruition. Being right, like 2 seconds later, when you be
wrong.
or then you'd be like, what? You know,
I didn't mean to. Oops.
I said that. Oh my God. You know, so I learned how powerful my words are, because I would just say things so cavalier. It would just be so like this, whatever. I wrote something crazy.
Diarrhea of the mouth.
And you're just talking, and you have no intention and no heart, you know, and when you speak. And I just realized that I had to speak what I wanted to see. I had to speak what I wanted to love and live. And that's been like my biggest, you know, that's been like my biggest thing this year, you know, 32 going into my 33rd year, right? I'm in my 33rd year. My birthday is in a few months, and I'll turn 33. And I think that that's like one of the major things that I've learned thus far, is that my words have so much power.
That you want to make. I was like, you will drastically see your life shift.
Absolutely.
It'll shift.
Yeah.
It's your words. It's everything, literally.
Yeah.
So then now, I have thoroughly enjoyed myself. But now, no one gets to a place of success without help.
Right.
So who would you say some of your most important mentors were?
My most important mentors, one is my mother. She taught me womanhood. She taught me finer womanhood. She taught me who I was and whose I was, and how powerful I could be. And my mother's name is Marcia, and she is the most encouraging woman that I know. So I would definitely say my mother. I would say like all of the women, well, first, like Cleveland, Ohio, right? I'm from Cleveland, Ohio. My elementary school principal and teachers, I went to Caledonia Elementary School in East Cleveland. And my principal's name was Ms. Stella Lowe Munson. She was the first person to do with a hyphenated name. I was like, oh my gosh, she's like cool.
I have to do this.
She's like a hyphenated name. She's like awesome. She made her own clothes. Like before like Hammer came out with Hammer pants,
She had them.
Mrs. Lowe Munson had like Hammer pants, like out of like kente cloth. And like you'll be like, where did she get those from? Like, did she know MC Hammer? Like, you know, because we grew up with MC Hammer, right? And so all of those women, those black teachers, those wonderful black teachers with this wonderful, strong black woman, female principal, taught me to love myself, love my culture, be proud to be of African descent, be proud to be a descendant of the diaspora, right? Like they taught me about dynasties when I was in elementary school, of Mansa Musa, and I mean, just, you know, we were talking about the whole Kemet, and I knew about Kemet as a little kid, as a child. And I would say those women at Caledonia Elementary School, along with the women at Antioch Baptist Church, so many women, like it's countless women who have shaped me. And those have left like the lasting impression, because they really helped build this foundation. And so them, and then I think, you know, most recently, you know, is I would probably have to say, you know, my sister, because we're twins, right? But, you know, as twins, like we're identical twins, so you know the egg splits, and so we're basically like one and the same person, right? But the goodness that she has is so much that I admire. The goodness that she has, and she always talks about, Brandi, people don't understand, like, you're much nicer than me, because she's like more like jolly when she walks in the room, like she's like, hey girl, hey, what's up, you know, she's like that. I'm more like, hello, how are you, you know? And so y'all probably got that when y'all came. Y'all like, I don't know what to think, she might be a little crazy, but you know, my sister is just, she is just my rock. She is my shield sometimes, because she's like a pit bull, because she's like, don't ever mess with Brandi, because I will like cut your head off. She's like so intense.
Sounds like my sister.
So I would probably say my sister, and then Miss Mickey Taylor. She is like one of the most gracious women I've ever cut. Like, she drops jewels. When you have dinner with her and you sit in her presence, you are like, oh my God, you are like, you are the truth. And she got stories that of like every celebrity that you can think of because of Essence Magazine. She has, you know, she has worked with them, and she has a story and a dinner and a, you know, a phone conversation, and you're just like, I would be like you when I grow up. Like, how do I get all this awesome sauce on me, you know?
Spread a little bit.
Yeah. So I think her is like one of my most recent, you know, women that I just really just admire would be Mrs. Mickey Taylor. I think she is phenomenal. I think she's one of those women that, you know, she may be like under the radar for some people. They may not know her if they didn't grow up looking at Essence Magazine every month, but she is a true class act. I mean, just gracious. I mean, just grace and mother wisdom. And I call her mother wisdom. Mother wisdom. You know, I've gone into New York just needing a word, and I'm like, hey, I'm coming in town tomorrow. Would you have time? She's like, come see me. And I'll be like, yes. Let me sit down with you for an hour of your time. Just let me sit at your feet. Yes. Let me touch the hem of your garment.
A refill.
Yeah, I got to touch the hem of your garment. And so those are some of the women. I think, you know, I've always admired Susan Taylor. I used to, you know, read In the Spirit as a teenager growing up. So Susan Taylor, and then we talked, you know, like Erykah Badu, I feel like is my like soul sister. Like, she doesn't know it yet, but we're gonna like hang out and become friends, you know? And we can go eat all the vegan food and go like alkaline our bodies with chlorophyll and do all of that, because I know she's like into it, and you know, I am too. So it's like, girl, you know.
Yes, we connect.
We can go get some Ethiopian food and green drinks. I'm with it.
So then now, one of the hardest things that I found in all of these interviews is whenever I ask any woman, because you know we have all the words that you could ever think to have.
I feel it coming.
Is if you can describe yourself using 6 words only, what would they be?
6 words.
It can be a phrase if you want, but only 6.
Only 6 words. This is the first thing that came to mind. I am the master of my fate. That's 7.
Well,
okay.
I'm the master of my fate.
I need that am though. So we'll okay, let's do that again.
Okay.
Okay, so 6 words. I am loving, kind, compassionate, genuine.
I like that. I'm loving, kind, compassionate, and genuine.
Yeah. I didn't say and because I kept it at 6. Here it is. I kept it at 6.
She kept it at 6.
Yes, I think that was 6.
Kept it at 6.
Yeah, that was hard, but yeah, it's like...
No, I have, again, thoroughly enjoyed this conversation. And my absolute last question is, because we are going to have youth watch this, and one of the most important things I think once you have achieved any level of success is to reach back to say, hey, this is possible.
Right.
Hey, come on, this is how I did this. So if you can tell your younger self anything at all, what would it be?
If I could tell my younger self anything, what would it be? I would tell my younger self to be fearless. I would tell my younger self to give up the need to impress others. I would tell my younger self that I am worthy of love and I'm already lovable, which would have kept me from some unwanted, unnecessary encounters with some men, who I thought would give me some validation. And I was never going to get that, but I didn't understand that at the time. So I would tell my younger self to keep my jewels in the treasure box
for a longer period of time.
As long as you can. Keep the jewels in the treasure box, because that idea of intimate exchange, of sexual exchange, is so powerful. And the energy that is expelled between two bodies is so combustible, like it is so powerful when those two people come together and what that means. And so I would tell my younger self that I am lovable all by myself, that nobody else can validate that. And then I would, say live, because no one is going to live for you.
I love it.
And that will be it.
I got to do a high five with that, but that was good. I love that. And then that piece alone is what I am going to now take and tell my daughter. You are lovable as you are.
Yeah.
Because I don't think I ever heard that. Thank you.
You are lovable.
As you are.
Because you are God. You are the very embodiment of God on the planet. What makes you unlovable? What makes you what makes you stoppable? What makes you fearful? You are God Himself, embodied on the planet. How then can you walk with your head bowed? How can you walk like you are unsure of your purpose? Walk decisively on this planet. Walk purposefully on the planet. But when people understand the context of that, you are a living God walking this earth, you would be better, you would be brighter, you would talk, you would speak differently, you would walk differently, you would dress differently. You would carry yourself in a manner that was God-like. And our children haven't figured that out, but that's why we're here.
Exactly.
To teach them who they are.
Exactly. And with that, I want to remind you that you need to tell yourself every single day, look in the mirror and tell yourself, I am possible, simply because you are. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you so much.